Interesting things are happening with Chainlink. First off, read this disclaimer carefully. And like, subscribe, share, and comment. Chainlink is in the crypto category under money. If we just get the big picture of the market today, we can see that there is some rotation here in the sectors and in the megatrends. If we go here, this is the company's website, so connect your smart contract to the outside world. Chainlink's decentralized Oracle network provides reliable, tamper-proof inputs and outputs for complex smart systems on any blockchain. Highly secure and flexible infrastructure. Yeah, this is one of the leading cryptocurrencies. Let's now look at the charts, and we are looking at it against the US dollar. Let's actually look at a different setup. Chainlink. We will use the index like that. And we start here with the long time frame, the weekly data points. I like to look at historical volatility and RSI when I look at cryptocurrencies. So within this entire time frame, the pair is up, 2,352%. That's clearly very strong. We do, however, see that since, as an example, 2019, there's been multiple major corrections here for Chainlink. So it is certainly one of those that it's good to buy low and sell high. Because if you take this sell-off as an example, it was actually minus 45-ish%. If we, from this high right there to the low here, well, that's minus 73%. So when there are corrections, they are very big. Even the most recent correction from this high to this low, minus 63%. I mean, some would categorize it as a bear market. But bear market is not simply the percentage it goes down, it is also the duration. So I think there need to be some significant duration for it to really be a bear market. But anyway, it's been pullback time for Chainlink, and it hasn't really run away yet. We have seen that there's been some very big rallies in the past, where it breaks out to new highs. And this is still actually a decent time to get into Chainlink. Obviously, buying here is better, but this isn't too bad. And we are seeing, if you look at the candlesticks, is that there are definitively buyers here stepping in. Let's now go to the daily data points. Let's zoom out a bit and look at some patterns. So one of the things I like to look at is the RSI versus the price, whether there's some kind of reliable trading pattern emerging. It is interesting to see if you look at oversold RSI here. It seems to be a relatively reliable buy signal. So that's interesting. But that is oversold levels. When it comes to overbought, it can be overbought for an extended period. So you simply cannot use overbought levels as a signal to go short. Okay, if you look at the most recent developments, something that really stuck with me is that there is this very clear cycle patterns. So let's get these time cycles like that. I mean, they are very consistent. So you do have this rising cycle here, here, here. Very strong consistency in the cycles. Whenever you see a cycle pattern, you have to be, of course, a bit careful because a cycle pattern can change. So if you go further back here, then here you see that the cycle pattern doesn't work. Here as well. So there are changes in cycles. But so far, this pattern has been repeating itself, especially since this low, which suggests that there could be a bit more downside if, and it's a big if, the cycle pattern continues, which means that around here would be a great buying level, for buying the dip. But yeah, I mean, you can see yourself, there is clearly a cycle pattern that has been set in motion. We are dancing around the blue 100-day moving average. So we do have this series of higher highs and higher lows. So all in all, this is nice. It's the bulls are back in town. They are being very careful, but I actually like this because this isn't healthy. These kinds of moves and these kinds of moves, they always bring with them a sizable pullbacks. While these, they bring more rationality to the markets. If you look here at historical volatility, I mean, we certainly have seen much higher levels in the past. Let's look at it, far back in history. Let's look at multiple years actually, like that. I mean, you can see yourself that we have certainly seen times with much higher volatility. So that is a spike in volatility is a risk factor, I guess. Given that we have a bit of time here, let's let's look at some other cryptocurrencies. The big one of them all is certainly Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I expected the Bitcoin maybe to cool down a little bit before we went higher, but the bulls, they really got into it after the election. So that actually is very, very interesting. Something we are seeing, the talk about, the Biden administration, and it still does a bit of an if we do get that administration, they are going to have a bunch of people from big tech on their teams. Decentralization is a competitor to big tech. Hence, I do think that part of the reason why we are seeing this increase is also that there is some assumptions that there will be a big move towards decentralization, maybe even as a reaction to big tech becoming even more ubiquitous, having a much bigger fingerprint on the world economy. The big topic as well has been, especially on the right side of the spectrum, that is, censorship, deplatforming, and the blockchain is an alternative to that, and that also drives this push towards the blockchain. Something that is very interesting that doesn't get a lot of attention is that there are many people on the left who are also deplatformed. But it is kind of interesting that the people on the right, they are far more better at alerting people about deplatforming and censorship. But whenever someone on the left gets deplatformed, and it does actually happen far more frequent than people know, the left is really bad at making a big fuss about it. So people just don't know about all the environmental organizations, all the socialist organizations that have been deplatformed. Because the thing is that the system, the current order, the current establishment, it has its own values, and it is not left values, it is not right values, it is what is in its own self-interest. And that's a key thing. Politically, I categorize myself a bit... I borrow a bit from both the left and the right. One of the key differences between me and a lot of other people in the blockchain community is that I think we need to be organized. We need to be we need to plan. We need to be like a team, because the problem with many people in the blockchain community is that there's a lot of libertarianism and individualism, and it's a classic rule in game theory, is that if you have, as an example, 100 people who work as individualists, and then you have 10 people who are acting as a group, the 10 people can easily outmaneuver the 100 individualists. Whatever you do, of course, be very careful in this volatile market.